didn't see him. What are you looking so sad about, Jack?
I'm surprised. I mean, I'm really insulted. That's not right, what you just said.
What do you mean, what I just said?
I mean, I'm getting a drink of water. I'm late getting home, but you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talk about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, Clay, one time I done my career, I was on a Formula One tour.
I would have been a bum compared to you.
With the tour.
What's happening, my people? It's Gas Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. Miss Cass, Mike Mazik, Thomas Hill. Salute to everyone, and welcome to another episode of Gas Sports, the Box Story. Today, close fights and controversial judging decisions. Close fights and controversial judging decisions. And you know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Story, bringing you all of that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. How's everyone today? This is the Wednesday afternoon hump day edition of Gas Sports the Box Story. Today we're gonna spend this show talking about some close fights over the years and some controversial judging decisions. Like boxing is follow the money. We're going to talk about some of these controversial decisions where they did just that. Like, for example, yesterday, me and Crush was talking about the Oscar Felix Sturm situation. Felix Sturm clearly won the fight, but they were trying to set up a fight between Oscar and B-Hop. The winner between Oscar and Felix Sturm was scheduled to fight B-Hop. So although Felix Sturm won, they still gave it to Oscar. Do the math. wins the most money? Felix Stern versus B-Hop or Oscar versus B-Hop? So they damn near had Oscar and B-Hop signed before the Felix Stern fight even happened. So we're going to talk about those kind of situations today, and also some close fights, and also some controversial judging decisions. We're not going to do a highlights of boxing history today because this is kind of long. Got a lot of fights to go through. Time permitting, we'll do the highlights of boxing history after the show. Okay. But how's everybody this Wednesday afternoon hump day? Cold out there today. This weather is crazy. We're going to get ready to get started today because got a lot of fights to talk about. Close fights and controversial judging decisions. That was a kind of a controversial one right there. Sweet Pea and Oscar, remember? A lot of people thought Oscar was in a lot of controversial fights like we was talking about yesterday. Like the Shane Mosley fight, he lost. He thought he should have won that one against Tito. They thought maybe Sweet Pea should have got the nod. Then the Floyd fight was a split decision. A lot of people think it should have been unanimous, you know. One judge was fooled all that windmill that Oscar was doing when Floyd was on the ropes, where Oscar was doing a lot of missing. But it was fortunately 2 judges got it right, and the right man got the win. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. Talking about these close fights and controversial judging decisions today. We got we're only a couple of days away from the big one this weekend. Ron Ennis and Emantas Stanionis. I think that's going to be a more competitive fight than a lot of people think it is, you know, because I went back and watched those things and was talking about the other day, and it really isn't. You know, a lot of people think that it's a big gap between those two, but no, it's closer than you think because Stanionis is a smart fighter, always in the right position, you know, smart feet. He don't have like flashy feet that jump out at you where you're going to say he got great feet, but I call them smart feet. Kind of like, you know who had good feet but never gets talked about? Joe Frazier. Watch a Joe Frazier fight. He always took those small steps and constantly moving, you know. Joe Frazier had very good footwork. You know, nothing fancy. Took a lot of small steps all the time, but he was always in position. Always in the right position and constantly moving, right? And it wasn't just the bobbing and weaving. He was taking those little small steps with those feet. You know, a lot of people don't talk about that, but yeah, I was thinking about that earlier. Joe Frazier had great feet. Great footwork, but it wasn't that flashy type like a Ali, Sugar Ray, Floyd, where you're moving around the ring and, you know, dancing. But, you know, you don't have to be a dancer like a Ali or a Sugar Ray to have good feet, you know. But let's get started with the close fights and controversial decisions. They looking forward to the show today. All right. Now, it's one of the more controversial aspects of boxing, but it is also one of the most intriguing. Everyone loves a close and competitive fight. But when the winner is finally announced, it can be the cause of much debate that could continue for days, for months, years, and sometimes decades. You know, some of those decisions can be argued about for decades, like Sugar Ray and Hagler. That fight was in 1987. A couple of years, it'll be 40 years. People still argue about that one. That will be argued about forever, Sugar Ray and Hagler. So yeah, sometimes they go on for decades. Okay. Now, this list is in no particular order. It's just 50 fights of some of the most disputed and debatable decisions in boxing history, right? Now we're gonna just look at each fight, do a little discussion about it, and look at the scores. So let's get into it. Some of the most closest and most controversial judging decisions in boxing history. All right. Bobby Chacon versus Cornelius Boza Edwards, May 15th, 1983. Now, legendary action fighters Bobby Chacon and Cornelius Boza Edwards met for the second time after Chacon lost the first fight by TKO in the 14th round. Now, it didn't matter who was better this night because they both proved worthy enough of a victory in this action thriller. Could have went either way. Now, Chacon recovered from a third round knockdown to put on a spectacular performance in what was Ring Magazine's 1983 Fight of the Year. The 12-round brawl was filled with non-stop brutality, including a dramatic 12th round knockdown suffered by Edwards. Now, the two action heroes defined boxing of the 80s, and the close but wide decision win for Chacon was nothing surprising. It was a war that could have gone either way. Now, the cards were 115-113, 115-112, and 117-111, all for Chacon. Jermaine Taylor versus Bernard Hopkins, 2, December 3rd, 2005. Yeah, that was Chacon and Edwards. I think that was their first fight. We did fought twice. No, that was two. This is Jermaine Taylor, Bernard Hopkins 2, 2005. It didn't change. There we go. Okay. Now, the first fight was ruled a split decision win for the undefeated and young boxer Jermaine Taylor. But the second fight was the closest of the two, even if the scorecards didn't show it. In the end, all three judges scored it for Taylor, giving Hopkins the second loss in a row after a record-setting 20 title defenses of the middleweight championship. The rematch was a much harder fight to score, as Hopkins made adjustments to start faster and not give away the early rounds like he did in the first matchup. Now, punch stats were Taylor landed 124 of 391 punches for 32%. B-Hop landed 130 of 371 punches for 35%. So B-Hop had the higher percentage. The judges had it 115-113, all three for Taylor. Razor thin decision. 115-113, all three for Taylor in that one. David Tua versus Monty Bird, July 17th, 2010. Tua versus Bird. Okay. Gotta keep an eye on the chat as we move along. Okay. Tua versus Bird. There they are. Tua on the left, Bird on the right. For the first time in his career, David Tua was dropped in the 12th round of his heavyweight fight versus experienced veteran Monty Bird. Tua made a career out of fighting the best but not being able to beat the best of the best. Losses to Chris Bird, Lennox Lewis, and Ike Iwabuchi highlighted the career of the tough Samoan who was always looking to get a major world title. It was a very close fight as the two boxers slugged it out in the closing rounds in hope of closing the show for good. Yet neither one of them was trying to go to the cards when they was in those championship rounds. Bird made history by knocking a Tour man down, but could only manage to get a draw. The cards, 115, 111 for Tour. One judge had it 113, and two judges had it 113, 113. Majority draw. Okay? The draw got the majority. Crush the legend. What's up, Crush? Excellent job this morning. Crush the legend. 6 a.m. Monday through Friday. Your coffee and your donuts. Excellent show this morning, Crush. Excellent show. Talking about Keyshawn. Yeah, I agree. He ain't no damn boogeyman. But excellent job, Crush. Yeah, we talking about just some close and controversial fights today, Crush. Okay, next is Lucian Butte versus Liberdo Andrade. This was the first fight between these two. I don't think I changed it. Yeah, there you go, right there. Okay. Undefeated and fast-rising Canadian prospect, Lucian Butte took on the biggest test of his career when he decided to face iron-chinned opponent, Liberdo Andrade. Now, Andrade, a pressure fighter, who is no stranger to getting hit, takes 3, 4, and sometimes 5 shots to just get one in of his own. And sometimes that one he gets in is all it takes. You know, he's got that kind of he had that fight-changing power. Okay? Take 4 or 5 to get one, but sometimes that one, that's all she wrote when he get it in. So his opponent better make those 4 or 5 count. Now, Butte had appeared to be on his way to winning a unanimous decision when he gassed out late in the fight to the relentless pressure and will of Andrade. Butte got dropped with 5 seconds left in the fight and got to be included in the modern-day form of the Dempsey long count. Taking a break in the count to send Andrade to the neutral corner, referee took the better end of 15 seconds before letting Butte recover enough to get up. What about the timekeeper? While he's sending Andrade to the corner, isn't the timekeeper supposed to be continuing the count? And then once he get Andrade to that neutral corner, he's not supposed to start off where he left off at. He's supposed to start up, look at the timekeeper, and start with the timekeeper. Say, for instance, the referee was at 5, and then he stopped to send Andrade to the neutral corner. Once he does that, he's supposed to look at the timekeeper because the timekeeper probably like 8. But this referee started back over again. So yeah, that is crazy how that works. But yeah, that's what happened in this fight. So the referee took 15 seconds, right? Gave Butte enough time to recover and get up. And the punch stats were Butte had 200 of 617 punches for 32%. Andrade landed 175 of 673 punches for 26%. The official decision was 117, 109, 115, 111, and 115, 110 for Butte. Now, Butte was winning the fight widely, but he was supposed to have been knocked out if the referee would have did that right. You know, he's not supposed to start the count back where he left off at. He's supposed to look at the timekeeper and pick the count up where the timekeeper's at. But he gave Butte 15 seconds, and Butte went on to win. But Andrade did get that one punch in there that he was looking for, but the referee screwed it up. Like they do so many times. You know, that's crazy. They need to get that together. Why you got a timekeeper for if you're not going to use it? Then you need instant replay. Stuff like that should be overturned. Make it a no contest and have a rematch, right? Funk or Die is in the building. What's up, Funk or Die? Good to see you today. Maybe at the end we can do that little piece on George, the promoter that Funk or Die gave me. Okay, time permitting. Okay, we're just looking at some close and controversial fights today. That was a very controversial one. we just talked about. The referee screwed it up. Abner Maris versus Vic Darkenyan. Abner, it's going to be a few like that today. Is that them? I want to get out of order. Yeah. Abner Maris versus Vic Darkenyan. Is that Abner Maris in the white? I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, the opening night of the Showtime Bantamweight tournament featured 4 of the very best boxers in the division. This was in 2010. They had a tournament, 4 of the best boxers in the division, with Joseph Agbiko and Yanni Perez on deck for the main event. Abner Maris and Vic Darkenyan slugged it out in a back-and-forth fight for the vacant IBO Bantamweight title. 2 knockdowns were scored for each fighter during the course of 12 rounds, but Maris had done enough to win a decision in 2 of the 3 judges' eyes. 115-111 for Maris, 113-112 for Darkenyan, and 115-111 again for Abner Maris. Split decision win for him. Okay, let's see if I'm in the right place now. This should be Antonio Tarver versus Albert Maricki. Antonio Tarver versus Albert Maricki. Yeah. No. What did I get? Oh, that's Abner Maris right there. I'm going to see how I got out of order. But don't worry about it. I'm back in order. That's Abner Maris, the fight I just talked about. Here's Antonio Tarver. Okay, I'm going to keep it straight now. Tarver on the right. I'm going to keep it straight now. The Antonio Tarver versus Albert Maricki, June 9th, 2007. Another good fight. Former pound-for-pound star Antonio Magic Man Tarver has had his fair share of close decisions throughout his career. In fights with Roy Jones Jr., Glenn Johnson, Bernard Hopkins, and Clinton Woods, Tarver had won some and lost some in the process of achieving top 10 pound-for-pound status. In a warm-up fight after the extensive layoff since losing a shutout decision to Hopkins, Tarver returned with a solid but lethargic performance to win a majority decision over Albert Maricki on Showtime. 116-112 for Tarver, 115-113 for Tarver. One judge had a 114-114. Close majority decision. Close majority decision. Okay. Marvin Hagler versus the Hands of Stone, Roberto Duran, November 10th, 1983. This was a good one. Roberto Duran was actually winning after 13 rounds, and Hagler needed 14 and 15, and he got him. He needed them, and he got him. A great fight here. Roberto Duran and Marvin Hagler, 2 of the 4 kings. Marvelous Marvin Hagler had not gone the distance in 3 years, earning 8 consecutive knockouts, right? All-time great. Roberto Duran had just beaten young prospect Davey Moore and was set for a middleweight title shot. He got his chance at 3 when he signed to fight Hagler. The WBA, IBF, and WBC titles were on the line. Yeah, Roberto had a chance at 3 titles. WBA, IBF, and WBC, all on the line. Hagler was 3-belt undisputed, right? For 7 years. For 15 rounds, Duran gave as good as he took in a very close fight. Both fighters exchanged power combinations on each other for the majority of the fight. And there were some very close rounds that could have gone to either fighter. Now, the judges believed in Hagler's power and gave him the unanimous decision, but it was razor thin. 15-rounder, 144 to 142, 146 to 145, and 144 to 143. And Roberto tricked Hagler because Hagler came, he trained for a war, and he came in expecting a war, and Roberto came out boxing fighting technically, yeah, and that threw Hagler for a loop, and Roberto took a few of those early rounds because he came out boxing. Yeah, Roberto was a good pressure fighter, brawler, a boxer, good defensive fighter, and he surprised Hagler that night. He came out boxing and kind of caught Hagler off guard, and Roberto took many of those early rounds and was leading after 13, like I said, and Hagler got 14 and 15. He needed both of them too. Next, another classic. Sugar Ray Leonard versus Roberto Duran, June 20th, 1980. Hagler Duran was 1983. Sugar Ray and Duran, June 20th, 1980. Great fight. Sugar Ray was favored back at the stadium where he won that gold medal at in Canada. But Duran had the crowd. Sugar Ray was shocked because he won that gold medal up there a few years earlier. And when he got up there, Duran had the crowd was for Duran, and it kind of messed Sugar Ray up a little. Olympic gold medalist Sugar Ray Leonard had obtained an impressive record of 27-0, while Duran was 71-1 when they met in the last major fight to be held in Canada. Okay? It was the first of their famous trilogy and was also the best of the three. It was the first Four Kings fight, too. Of all the 9 Four Kings fights, this was the very first one. Yep. And Duran and Leonard also fought the last Four Kings fight on the last year of the decade, 1989. Yep. First and last fight of the Four Kings series, these two. Now, Duran's pressure got to Leonard early and often in this fight. The come-forward pressure style of Duran had won in many of his fights in the past, and he would use it again to win here in a close fight. One that a lot of people thought Leonard won, but the judges didn't. 148, 147, 146, 144, and 145, 144 for Duran. Razor thin. And Duran had to get points for ring generalship because the entire fight was fought in his style. Leonard did not box. He came out and brawled with Duran, right? And, you know, the judges, Leonard was trying to prove he was a macho man, I guess. But the judges looked at it like Duran was forcing his style on the fight, and you get points for that. So, yeah. Big mistake by Sugar Ray. But some people think he still won, but I don't. Very, very razor-thin fight, but Duran pulled it out. Yeah. The Hands of Stone pulled it out. Mm-hmm. I'm a little biased toward the Hands of Stone, but he pulled it out. Watch it. Pulled it out. Mm-hmm. Monty Barrett versus Dominique Gwynn, March 27th, 2004. Okay? We talked about Dominique Gwynn Monday. We was talking about the prospects, remember? Hot prospect Dominique Gwynn was a featured boxer on the cover of Ring Magazine for a reason. He had just beaten former #1 heavyweight contender Michael Grant and was unbeaten at 24-0 with 17 knockouts. His opponent on this day was Monty Barrett, who only had 3 losses to his credit, including one to Vladimir Klitschko and one to Joe Messi, another prospect around that time. It was a competitive fight throughout, with Barrett hurting Gwynn late in the fight to show he was the superior of the two. The late rounds were the determining factor in Barrett winning a split decision. 97-93, 96-90, 297-93 for Barrett and a 96-94 for Gwynn. Razor thin fight. Winky Wright versus Bronco McCart. First fight between those two. May 17th, 1996. Mike Grimm in the building. What's up, Mike? How are you today? We're just going to go over some old fights today, Mike. Close and some controversial, you know. And not all the time the judges. We had one a few minutes ago that the referee messed up, you know. Gave the man 15 seconds on the mat to recover, and he was hurt. Gave him 15 seconds. Instead of getting the other guy to the neutral corner, instead of looking at the timekeeper, he went back and started where he left off at. 5 seconds had elapsed to get the man to the neutral corner. He's not supposed to do that. He's supposed to look at the timekeeper. By the time he got the guy to the neutral corner, the fight should have been over, because 10 seconds the 10 count had passed. But the referee blew it. And we're going to talk about some of those today, and a few of them where the judges blew it, of course. Okay, this is Winky Wright and Bronco McCart, 1. Yeah, that's Winky on the left, Bronco on the right, of course. Now, in the forgotten series of fights, Ronald Winky Wright took on Bronco McCart 3 times over 6 years. The first was the most competitive of the two middleweights and resulted in a split decision win for Wright. McCart was 27-1 coming in and fighting in his hometown, so many believed the decision would sway more in favor of the hometown fighter. And the second and third meetings were both won by Wright, but McCart got this one. No, Winky got this one. 115-113, 2 judges for Winky. 116-113 for McCart. So he went into McCart's hometown and beat him. Ronald Winky Wright. Tony Lopez versus John Molina. 3, May 20th, 1990. In the third and final fight between Tony the Tiger Lopez and John Molina, Lopez outworked and knocked down Molina to win the IBF Super Featherweight title. The first fight had been won by Lopez, but the second was won by Molina after he bruised and busted up the boxer from Sacramento, California, en route to a 10th round TKO. And the single point difference on the scorecards was from a knockdown Lopez scored in the 11th round after connecting on Molina's chin. Lopez wins by split decision. Razor thin. 114-113, 115-112, 114-113 for Molina. Lopez 114-113, 115-112. Close and controversial fight. Okay. Calvin Brock versus Jamil McCline, April 23rd, 2005. At 24-0, Calvin Brock was one of the best up-and-coming heavyweights, making his mark in the somewhat shallow division, at that time. For the better part of 6 rounds, Brock had outboxed the 265-pound McCline. But in the 7th round, McCline dropped Brock with a left-right combination. Now, Brock made it up. He beat the count. But would the change in momentum be enough to steal a decision? It wasn't. Brock still pulled out a close, unanimous decision. Brock landed 37%. McCline had 31%. Brock got dropped, but it wasn't enough to sway it. Now here's a classic here. Sugar Shane Mosley versus the Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya. 1, June 17th, 2000. 6 months into the new millennium. Now, this was the first of 2 high-profile fights between the 2 greats of their era. It was also one of the finest fights of each fighter's career. Both fighters had a great performance that night. Oscar had just rebounded from his loss to Felix Trinidad, and Sugar Shane was 34-0 coming in, and he was destroying everyone in the welterweight division. How would the 2 superstars match up? It was a very intense fight, with both fighters looking to establish a pace that many cannot keep. Fast combinations by both and power shots were the story of the fight, and the judges favored Sugar Shane. Sugar Shane got a split decision. Very close. Razor thin split decision for Sugar Shane Mosley. Okay. Juan Guzman versus Ali Funica, November 28th, 2009. Define Arnie One. Salute Define Arnie One. How are you today, bro? Always good to see Define Arnie One. Just talking about some old fights, close fights, and some controversial ones. And we're going to see some controversy. Judges, referees. Sometimes, most of the time, it's not bad judging or bad refereeing. It's cheating. Okay? It's not bad judging or bad refereeing. It's cheating. Okay? I go back to the Oscar and Stern fight again. Like me and Crust was talking about yesterday. That was cheating. The winner of Oscar and Philly Stern was supposed to fight B-Hop. And they had Oscar and B-Hop scheduled before Oscar and Philly Stern even fought. So just follow the money. Philly Stern and B-Hop or Oscar and B-Hop. Do the math. So they cheated and gave a fight that Philly Stern clearly won to Oscar. I think we're going to cover that one too. But yeah, that's boxing for you. Follow the money. Always been like that, still like that. Juan Guzman versus Ali Funica. The biggest robbery of 2009. Okay, here we go. The biggest robbery of 2009 came in the first fight between Dominican boxer Juan Guzman and Ali Funica. Guzman got off to a good start, but was bloodied in the opening rounds. Funica took over from there and continued to out-jab and outland Guzman for the majority of the fight. In the end, Funica landed 142 jabs to Guzman's 32, 110 more jabs. It was ruled a majority draw, leaving Funica without a well-deserved win, and Guzman with his undefeated record, now 29 wins, no losses, 1 draw. Punch stats. Guzman. Oh, wow, they got 16s. That was a mistake. But the official decision was 114-114, 116-112 for Funica, and 114-114. 116-112 was really what it should have been. Okay. But Guzman had 33%, Funica had 27%. And just the jabs, man, they tell the story right there. Funica landed 142 jabs, and Guzman only landed 32 for the entire fight. Biggest robbery of 2009 was right there. Yep. Devin Alexander versus Andre Kotelnik. We talked about Andre the other day when we were doing the Ukrainian fighters, remember? Yeah. Yeah, follow the breadcrumbs. That's what T. Hill says, follow the breadcrumbs. Devon Alexander versus Andre Kotelnik, August 7th, 2010. I don't know if yeah, that's Devon on the right, Kotelnik on the left. Ukrainian fighter. Now, Alexander wanted a shot at Timothy Bradley, but he would have to beat the tough Andre Kotelnik first. It would be anything but easy, and Alexander learned that fast. Kotelnik, who had only lost once in his career, kept a steady pace throughout, while Alexander threw some more. Alexander threw over 1,000 punches, but Kotelnik had outlanded him by 23 punches in the end. The judges saw it for Alexander and gave him the close decision by 4 points. Yep. Alexander had 18%, landed 18% of his punches, while Kotelnik landed 29%. Wow. But Alexander got the win. Never saw that. You have to watch that. Smoking Joe Frazier versus Oscar Bonavena, September 21st, 1966. Way back there. Wow. I'm probably the only one in here that was born then. 1966. I was 7. Okay, Smoking Joe Frazier, Oscar Bonavena. In Joe Frazier's just his 12th professional fight, he was put up against the tough boxer Oscar Bonavena, who was 20 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw at the time, Argentinian Bonavena. After being dropped twice in the second round, it appeared to be close to over as Bonavena unloaded on Frazier. It was an exciting 10 rounds of back and forth action as Frazier tried to rally from the 2 knockdowns he suffered earlier in the fight. And Frazier won a majority decision. Yup. Close fight. 5-5, 6-4 for Frazier and 5-4 for Frazier. Razor thin. Won't see no knockouts today. Next is the Pac-Man. Manny Pacquiao versus Agapito Sanchez. November 10th, 2001. This was the beginning of that run Manny made through the 2000s. 2001 to 2010, he went through there like a missile. And Manny was just unstoppable in those 2000s. And he was the fighter of the decade, too. Very deservedly. In one of the dirtiest fights ever, Dominican boxer Agapito Sanchez was looking to unify his title with Filipino star Manny Pacquiao. Sanchez was deducted 1 point for low blows over 6 rounds. But it wasn't the only thing he had done. He had also headbutted Manny and opened 2 cuts over the Pac-Man's eyes. And he fell on Manny's leg when the two tripped over each other. When the cut was determined too bad to continue, the fight was in the hands of the judges, and it was ruled a technical draw. But yeah, I've seen it. Pacquiao clearly won that fight. Pacquiao won like 6 rounds to 4, something like that, yeah. But the judges called it a technical draw. Yeah, and what's in the Agapito was dirty, man. Headbutting, low blowing, all tripping Manny down, all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Francisco Bojado versus Jesse James Legion, July 24th, 2004. 2004. Oh yeah, we got great time. On the undercard of Arturo Gatti versus Leonard Dorin, welterweights Francisco Bojado and Jesse James Legion battled it out for 10 close rounds before Legion was awarded the split decision win. Legion came back from a second round knockdown to take the fight to who's he fighting? In Dorin. In a 5th round knockout. The Legion came back from a second round knockdown to take the fight to Dorin in the second half of the fight. It was a fight to determine the Snake's best challenger for Arturo Gatti. And Legion got the fight in a 5th round knockout loss, right? And Legion won this fight and got to fight Gatti, and Gatti knocked him out in the 5th round. Okay? Very close fight, though. Very close fight. No, Bojado won, but Legion got the Gatti fight. And see, that's how boxing is. This fight was a title eliminated to see who would fight Gatti, just like they did Barroso. Bojado won the fight, but Legion got the fight with the champion. Go figure. That's crazy. But that's boxing. But we love it. But that's our sport for you, man. Title eliminator. The loser gets the title shot. Wow. Follow the breadcrumbs. Like T. Hill said, follow the breadcrumbs. Zab Judah versus Lucas Matisse. Yeah. Is that Zab? Yeah, that's definitely Lucas Matisse. Okay, Zab, that don't look like Zab. Must be the shot. November 9th, 2010. Okay. Now Zab, yeah, Define Arnie told me this yesterday. I didn't even never knew Zab had a nickname. But here it is, Zab Super Judas. Career is filled with fight, with highs and lows. His fight with undefeated up and coming Lucas Matisse was a bit of both. Judah and Matisse fought competitively for the first half of the fight and picked up the pace in the second half. Now Matisse, who was 27-0 at the time, earned the 10th round knockdown that seemed to have sealed the deal for a decision win when the final bell went. But Zab escaped once again with a split decision, putting himself back into the top contenders of the welterweight division. Yeah, that was a very close fight, and when Matisse got that knockdown in the 10th round, everybody thought that he had it, but they gave it to Zab. Split decision. Yeah. I thought Matisse won that one. Here's a big robbery here. Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield. Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield. Okay, they find on say, oh, I remember Zab versus. What is going on, man? Oh, I remember Zab versus Matisse. Gosh. Yeah, that was controversial. Matisse clearly won that one. Remember, you got that knockdown late. That should have sealed the deal because it was a very close fight. That knockdown should have been the difference, but they still gave it to Zab. You know, it was crazy. But that's boxing. Follow the breadcrumbs, right? Lewis and Holyfield. Now, the first meeting between Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield is one of the most infamous decisions in boxing history. Lewis had dominated the former cruiserweight and current heavyweight champion for 12 rounds before being awarded a split draw. And on one round, Lewis landed about 40 punches, and Holyfield was in single digits. I think the lady Eugenia Williams gave the round to Holyfield, right? And everybody was like, well, what was she doing? Doing her, putting fingernail polish on her nails or something? Well, we didn't have cell phones too tough then, so she couldn't have been on the phone. But it was crazy, man. He had like 30 or 40 punches, and Evander had like 6. And she gave Holyfield a round. But guess what? She never judged another fight after that. Deservedly so. Shouldn't have never judged before that. But anyway, it was one of the split draw between these two was one of the most controversial and debated decisions in boxing history. But there was only one thing left to do, have a rematch, right? And they had that rematch at the end of that same year to prove who the real winner should have been. And there was no question this time in a much closer, but still one-sided fight. Lewis won a unanimous decision. But if you compare it to the first, many people would have given it to Holyfield. Yeah, like they gave the first fight, you know. But yeah, it was close. But Lewis won it. Should have had both of them. Yeah. Jesus Chavez versus Carlos Hernandez. Okay. 251. I'm trying to 45 minutes. 20. Yeah. Yeah, we'll be okay. We should finish like 20 minutes to 4. Jesus Chavez versus Carlos Hernandez, 2005. Mexican boxer Jesus Chavez was coming off a decision loss to his country's legendary fighter Erik Morales when he took on Carlos Hernandez, who was 41-4-1 at the time. The two battled back and forth for 12 rounds before Chavez was awarded a split decision win. His next fight would be the very upsetting victory over Evander Johnson. After beating him en route to an 11th round TKO, Johnson died from post-fight injuries on his way to the hospital. Chavez would never be the same. He would go on to lose 5 of his next 7 fights before retiring. Yeah, he was never the same after that. But he did win that one against Hernandez. That's Chavez right there with his hands raised up. Jeff Lacey versus Vitaly Klitschko. Or something like that. 2006. 2006. 9 months earlier, Jeff Lacy had taken the beating of his life in the first loss of his career against Joe Calzaghe. Wanting to quickly get back into action, Lacy took on Vitaly Klitschko in a rematch of their 2004 fight. It was a much closer fight than many expected, but after such a disastrous loss to Calzaghe, Lacy would never be the same fighter people had known him to be. He would win a majority decision, which would be the second of 6 fights to go the distance in his career. Yeah, a very close fight for Jeff Lacy, getting his hand raised. Samuel Peter, the Nigerian Nightmare, Samuel Peter, versus Jamil McCline, 2007. There you go. It's the Nigerian Nightmare. And Samuel McCline. It was a rocky start for Samuel Peter as he got dropped 3 times in the first 3 rounds by 266-pound heavyweight Jamil McCline. Now, McCline's skills and size had carried him into the upper echelon in the division years earlier when he defeated Michael Grant and Shannon Briggs. Being well past his prime now, McCline surprised the fans after knocking down the Nigerian Nightmare, but could not finish the show. Could not finish. It was all about rallying as Peter tried to reclaim the 3 points he had lost in the first couple rounds. In the judges' eyes, he did just that and won a unanimous decision, close unanimous decision. Nigerian Nightmare. Paulie Ayala and Johnny Tapia. Classic there. Ayala and Tapia. Tapia on the left, Ayala on the right. Yeah, Prime Matisse was a scary dude. Yeah. You know, he never won a title, define on anyone. That was hard to believe. He never did win a championship. He was in some championship fights, but just never got over the hump. Now, the rematch between these two standout fight lightweights wasn't as close as the first fight, but the commentators certainly thought so. Throughout the 12-round fight, Paulie Ayala had outboxed and outworked Johnny Tapia for the majority of the fight, and he took home a unanimous decision win for his efforts. Now, many argued Tapia had done enough to get a close decision, but he really hadn't. The judges finally got this one right. Yeah, 115-113, 116-112, and 115-113 for Ayala. Close fight, but yeah, Ayala eked it out. Yeah, this was a big upset here. And you know, Iran Barkley took 2 titles from her. He took the super middleweight and the light heavyweight. Iran Barkley versus Thomas Hearns, 1992. Yeah, took 2 titles from the Hitman. The first fight between Iran Barkley and Thomas Hearns was a brutal display of punching power by both fighters. Barkley rallied in the 3rd round from a near knockout to Hearns, right? And he almost knocked Hearns out. Now, when the rematch was set, both prepared to take the fight the distance, and they did, but not without some drama. Barkley floored Hearns in the 4th round. It was the only knockdown of the fight. It would be the deciding factor in Barkley winning a split decision. In both fights, he took titles from the Hitman. One was super middleweight, and then he took the light heavyweight title from Hearns. Thomas Adamek versus Chris Arreola, 2010. Adamek and Arreola, 2010. Former cruiserweight Thomas Adamek took the first big step in the heavyweight division when he took on slugger Chris Arreola. Adamek had beaten Andrew Galata to earn a big name fight, and Arreola was coming off of a win after rebounding from his loss to Vitaly Klitschko. The Areola, who possesses big power, hurt the boxer several times, but could not capitalize. Adamek was the quicker and more technical boxer and landed many of his shots at will. The win for Adamek seemed clear, but one judge did have it even. But the other two got it right. Adamek got the win. Jorge Arce versus David Lukmahanak. Sounds like an Indian name. Lukmahanak. Yeah. There you go. In an entertaining action fight, Mexican star Jorge Arce battled it out with David Lukmahanak of Thailand for 12 rounds in a WBC Super Flyweight title eliminator fight. Now, Lukmahanak had Arce on the ropes for the majority of the fight and scored many clean, effective blows to the battle-tested chin of Arce. Now, Arce fought back valiantly, but was always being counterpunched and pressured by Lukmahanak. In the end, Arce was given the decision, which probably should be considered a gift based on a little bit of dominance Lukmahanak showed. Yeah, I thought Lukmahanak should have won that one, but Arce got it. You know, controversial decisions. We got Adamek again, Thomas Adamek versus Steve Cunningham this time. Adamek versus Cunningham. Steve Cunningham. In Adamek's second to last fight at cruiserweight, he took on Steve Cunningham for the IBF cruiserweight title. Okay? The fight, which was broadcast on Versus, was an action-packed fight with 3 knockdowns, all suffered by Cunningham. In the end, Cunningham had outlanded Adamek in jabs 60-30, but the power was where the story was told. Adamek landed 156 to 104 power punches, and the 3 knockdowns, which were scored in round 2, 4, and 8, were as a result of the power he possessed at 198 pounds. Right? And Adamek won a split decision. Should have been unanimous. The man had 3 knockdowns. But, you know, judges are judges. Leonard Duran versus Paul Spadafora. Duran versus Spadafora. This war was a battle of wills, as it usually is when Leonard Duran enters the ring. His opponent, Paul Spadafora, deserves just as much credit for standing toe-to-toe for 12 rounds. Duran's aggression was met in the middle of the ring by Spadafora's quick combinations to the head and body. Now, both fighters' defenses were uniquely different, with Spadafora slipping many punches, while Duran kept his gloves up to block. And the official decision was a split draw. Spadafora won on one card, Duran won on one card, and the other card was a draw. A split draw. Another classic. Juan Manuel Marquez against Antonio Barrera. That's Marquez on the floor there. You can't see him too good. Let me see. See him? Down in the floor there. Juan Manuel. Okay. Now see, while the referee's over there with that other fighter, the timekeeper is supposed to be counting. And when the referee gets over there to Marquez, he's supposed to look at the timekeeper and pick up the count where the timekeeper is at, not start at 1, you know. But some referees I guess they don't do that. I don't know. Juan Manuel Marquez versus Marco Antonio Barrera, 2007. 2007. In a lightweight matchup that featured Mexican standouts, Juan Manuel Marquez and Marco Antonio Barrera, both were hoping to make a statement to determine their country's biggest star after Erik Morales. It was a war, but it did not go without controversy. Barrera dropped Marquez in the 7th round. The referee Jay Nady ruled it a slip. Now look at that. How could that be a slip? The man's sitting on the mat. That's not no damn slip. Well, I don't know what happened to get him in that position, but I had to look at that. But to make things worse, he deducted a point from Barrera for punching Marquez after he was dropped. You look like you're taking a point there. Now, to make things even worse, it was a round Barrera was losing. So how do you score it? 10-8 Barrera, 10-8 Marquez, or 9-9? Okay, so it was 10-8, and he took a point, right? So, oh man, 10-9 Barrera would be how I would score it, right? The knockdown, well, no, he called it a slip, so 10-9 Marquez then. No, 10-8 Marquez. Because, well, it depended. Because Barrera was losing the round. So Marquez would have got 10-9 for winning the round. And then if he deducted a point, I guess it's 10-8 Marquez, right? Yeah. 10-8 Marquez is how I would score it. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. Now, when the scorecards were announced, many were amazed to see Marquez leading so far ahead on the scorecards of a very close fight. 116, 111 twice, and 118, 109 for Marquez. Wow. Harold Letterman had it 114, 113, but Harold Letterman don't know what the hell he's doing. No way. I don't even know why I read that. I'm glad he's not a real judge and just like a judge for the network, scorer for the network. Just think if he was a real judge. Wow, that would be terrible. He'd be worse than that woman Eugenia Williams. David Diaz versus Eric Morales. Diaz versus Morales. There you go. Morales on the right, I think. Yeah. Okay. In what would be Eric Morales' last fight before his first retirement in 2008, he took on tough up-and-comer David Diaz, who was 32 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. Okay? It was a brawl from the get-go, with Diaz being dropped in the first round by a right hand from Morales. Now he returned stronger and more determined than ever and took it to Morales for the majority of the fight. It was an exciting, close, and very fan-friendly fight. Had Diaz passed the test? He did, and plus he won a unanimous decision. Close, but he won a unanimous decision. Okay. Jermaine Taylor versus Corey Spinks. There's Jermaine and Corey. Corey on the right? Yeah. After a series of uninspired wins, middleweight champion Jermaine Taylor took on the quick and skilled boxer Corey Spinks from the famous Spinks boxing family. Leon, Michael, remember? Now, disappointing is not good enough of an adjective to describe this uneventful fight. Spinks ran for the majority of the 12 rounds and did not land double-digit numbers in any of the 12 rounds. Wow. After a very odd result was announced, Taylor took a split decision that should have been a pretty clear unanimous decision. Yet one judge actually gave it to Spinks. That was crazy. Listen to this. Taylor landed 101 of 319 for 32%. Spinks landed 85 of 542 for 16%. How did one judge give him the fight? And gave it to him 117, 111. Right? Like what is it? Like 8 rounds to 4, something like that? Gave him like 8 rounds. And the man landed 16% of his punches for the fight. But fortunately, the other 2 got it right and gave it to Taylor. But these judges, man, I remember I saw a fight one time. I think one judge had it 120, 108, and one had it 115, 113. Right? One judge had it 12-0. One judge had it 7-5. How can 2 people, it's not going to be exactly the same, but 2 judges going by the same criteria, watching the same fight, see it so differently? Only thing I can figure, one of them was cheating. I don't know which one, but one of them was cheating. Yeah. Not possible, man, for 2 judges to see a fight that differently. One had a shutout, one had 7-5. Crazy. Hasim Rockman versus James Lights Out Tony. Hasim Rockman versus James Lights Out Tony. There you go. Rockman on the left, Lights Out on the right. The heavyweight matchup between James Toney and Hasim Rockman was supposed to determine the best of the best in the heavyweight division, which had 4 different champions at the time. This fight was for the WBC title, which was currently held by Rockman. Now, it wasn't a bad fight, and it had its moments of good and sometimes great action. The draw that resulted between them made no such distinction to who was the best. And one judge had it 117, 111 for Rockman, and the other 2 had it 114, 114. Okay, so Rockman kept the titles, right? It was a draw. Thomas the Hitman Hearns versus Virgil Hill. Let me refresh the chat, see if I've missed anybody coming in here. Let's see. Nope, okay. The Hitman versus Virgil Hill, 1991. Excuse me. Okay. Station break me. Very good. Okay, let's get back to it. Hitman versus Virgil Hill. We winding down. We probably, instead of highlights of boxing history, we'll just get the link time today. About 3:30-ish. 3:30-ish. Okay, Tommy Hearns versus Virgil Hill. Now, if you want to see a technical boxing match, it doesn't get much better than this one. Tommy Hearns put on a thriller against Virgil Hill. Calling this a jab-oriented fight is a major understatement, as it was the only punch being utilized throughout the first half of the 12-round distance. The nature of a battle of jabs can lead to a lot of close rounds, and it did just that. Hearns started to open up on Hill halfway through the fight with right hands and appeared to take those rounds. In the end, Hearns was awarded a unanimous decision and deserved it, but don't let the scorecards fool you. It was a very competitive fight. The judges had it 116, 112, 115, 113, and 115, 113. Yeah, that's pretty close. What is 116, 112? 8-4, right? Yeah. So that's pretty close. You know. In the end, your Hearns got the decision unanimously, but a close fight. Jose Luis Castillo, Herman de Guadro. I guess. I don't know what that man's name is. No idea. But there you go. Let me see. This is the man's last name. I don't know. Herman N. G-O-U D-J-O. There it is. The Guajo? No, that's not it. Okay, but here, he's going up against Jose Luis Castillo, the man that gave Floyd all that trouble, remember? Remember that? Just 2 fights after his history-making fight with Diego Corrales, Jose Luis Castillo took on undefeated fighter Herman for the NABF lightweight welterweight title. Notice I dodged the last name. It was the first fight for Castillo at junior welterweight. It was supposed to be a precursor for a major welterweight matchup between Castillo and England's Ricky Hatton. That fight was in jeopardy of being lost, as Herman met Castillo punch for punch and stole many rounds with a surprisingly toe-to-toe attack. Luckily for Castillo, he escaped with a split decision win in his fight with Hatton. He lost to Hatton by 4th round knockout. But you know they was going to give it to him, because they had him as Hatton signed before he even fought this Herman. So you know they was going to give it to Castillo. You knew they were. That's boxing. Marvin Hagler versus Vito Antuofermo. Yeah, this was a draw, 1979. Marvin Hagler was on a 20-fight win streak going into his WBC middleweight title fight with Vito Antuofermo in 1979. Finally got his first title shot because he was one of the most dodged fighters ever. Hagler was in those 70s. But when he got it, he kept it for 7 years. And shouldn't have lost it when they cheated him against Sugar Ray. Now, Hagler controlled much of the fight until the 11th round, when he began to back away and let the tough Antuofermo begin to fire shots on him. Now, Antuofermo bullied the great middleweight for the better part of the rounds and was given the benefit of the doubt on one of the scorecards. It's hard to believe somebody bullied Hagler. Yeah, but Hagler kind of let off the gas in the late rounds. I've seen that many times. I still thought Hagler won it, though. Now, the fight resulted in a draw and left a very disgruntled Hagler looking for a rematch. He eventually got one and finished the Brooklyn boxer inside the distance, under 5 rounds. And when he fought Antuofermo again, he had the title because Antuofermo ended up losing to Alan Minter from Great Britain, and then Hagler beat him, right? But yeah, Hagler won the fight, but he did let off the gas in the late rounds, and it cost him. They called it a draw, and Antuofermo kept the title. Yeah. First time I ever seen Hagler do that. I don't know what, he might have been injured or something. You know, he did let off the gas in the late round. Hagler could be winning 8 rounds or nothing. He ain't letting up off the gas. Not the marvelous one, but he did. He might have been injured or something, because he actually did. Kelly Pavlik versus Jermaine Taylor, 2008. Yeah, Hagler from Antuofermo was way back there. I think it was 1980. 1979. Yeah. I was just going into the Air Force. Mm-hmm. Now, we got a few more, then we're going to get some link time. Kelly Pavlik versus Jermaine Taylor. Their first meeting was a memorable one which saw two of the best American fighters put their undefeated records on the line. Pavlik came back from a second round knockdown to knock out Jermaine Taylor in the 7th round. Now, the rematch was scheduled for a weight class above the previous one, where the first fight was at, but it was still as anticipated because of the drama that ensued in the first fight. Now, the second fight was not as exciting, but it did have its moments from both sides. After 12 rounds, it was clear Pavlik was going to win the decision, but there were some ringside scorers who had Taylor ahead after the final bell. Okay, but Pavlik did get it unanimously. 117, 111, 116, 112, 115, 113. Okay. ESPN had it 114, 114. Was Harold Letterman working for them then? 114, 114. Eric Morales versus Marco Antonio Barrera. Classic. That was one. First fight between those two gentlemen. They had some classics. Those two did. 3 classics. What's up? He fired on, he says that Taylor Spinks fight was one of those where Emmanuel Stewart went berserk in the corner. Oh, Emmanuel did. Emmanuel had Taylor, right? I think. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Eric Morales versus Marco Antonio Barrera. Okay. See the airport over there in the distance. We're gonna get some link time shortly. Yeah, we are on approach. We're on approach to the airport. Now the first of the 3 wars between Eric Morales and Marco Antonio Barrera is one of the greatest fights in the history of boxing. It started a trilogy between the 2 Mexican legends, one that is regarded as one of the very best in boxing history. The result was controversial after Barrera appeared to have got the better of Morales' first fight throughout the majority of the fight, but the unanimous decision to Morales shows how two-sided it really was. They left everything in the ring that night and put on a show that defines what makes the sport so great. That was one of the most fan-friendly fights of all time. They maybe number 2 behind the Thriller in Manila. That was, Barrera Morales won. And the judges had it 114-113 for Morales, 114-113 for Barrera, and 115-112 for Morales. Great fight, man. If you haven't seen that one, man, check it out. That started the trilogy. Andrew Galata versus Orlin Norris. Here's Andrew. What's up, Andrew? In an exciting heavyweight battle between Andrew Galata and Orlin Norris, the scorecards don't represent the very competitive nature of the fight. There probably wasn't a good chance to convince anyone Norris had won, but he did do well enough to earn a draw on one scorecard. Now, compare that to the 9 rounds and 1 victory for Galata on the one official scorecard, and we have ourselves a debate. Yeah, man. It wasn't that bad at all. You know, one judge had it 9-1. But hey, that's our judges. We love them. Love to talk about them. John Ruiz versus Evander Holyfield, 2001. Yeah, that's when Holyfield, I think, came for the 4th time. Became a 4-time heavyweight champion, remember? I think this was the fight. Let's see. In the 3rd and final fight, this was the last. In the 3rd and final fight between the Quiet Man and the Real Deal, nobody knew what to expect from the 2 heavyweight champions. The first 2 meetings were one-sided for Ruiz, okay, but the results of them showed otherwise, at least for the first fight, which was scored for Holyfield. Now, the second was won by Ruiz after he put Holyfield on the canvas in the 11th round to win a unanimous decision. The 3rd fight was the closest and hardest one to score of the 3. Over 12 rounds, there were relatively few exchanges to determine who was in control. It could have gone either way, but the draw left it in their trilogy at a stalemate of 1-1-1. 1 win for Ruiz, 1 win for Holyfield, and 1 draw. Wow. 1-1-1. If you believe a lot of you play that today, 1-1-1. Okay? Vernon Forrest versus Ike Corte, 2006. Now, this matchup brings two of the very best together, even if they were past their primes when they finally met. It didn't come without controversy in the end, after it seemed to have easily been won by Ike Corte, but went to the late Vernon Forrest. Even with a point deducted for low blows, Forrest still managed to earn a unanimous decision over Corte. Yeah, terrible judging there. Terrible. Corte clearly won that one. Going away, dominant fashion. Leonard Duran, Raul Balbi won. Okay. Now, Balbi from Argentina put his WBA World Lightweight title on the line against action fighter Leonard Duran of Romania. It was an intense 12 rounds of brawling as the two fighters wanted to prove who the tougher of the two was. Yeah, wasn't no defense in that one. This leads to close fights where one doesn't take a step back. And this is exactly what happened. Still, it seemed Duran had landed many more punches, and he did. Duran was also deducted a point, but it didn't hurt his position on the scorecards. He won a split decision. Yeah, that was fair and friendly too. Was no defense, in that one. They just, wasn't nobody willing to take a step back. They stood there and went at it like two rock'em sock'em robots. Clinton Woods versus Glenn Johnson, 2006. Okay. Now, the third fight between light heavyweight standout Glenn Johnson and Clinton Woods was the best. And it was also a 2006 Fight of the Year candidate. Johnson was 1-0-1 going into the fight with Woods. Now, Johnson, who is better known as the Road Warrior, went to Woods' home country of the United Kingdom to challenge him for the IBF light heavyweight title. Was he the one that fought in like 10 countries? We talked about it yesterday. It's got to be the record. I don't know. Yeah, like fought in like 10 different countries during his career. I think it might have been him. Now, the end result was in favor of Woods, but it was a close, action-packed fight. They had a lot of close rounds. The two never met again, leaving the record. Another one at 1-1-1. 1 win for each of them and 1 draw. Wow. But 3 is enough, You couldn't settle it in 3 fights. Just let it go, man. Just let it go. Okay? Yeah. 4, now you're getting up to too many. When you start fighting 4 times. Say, perfect example. Pacquiao and Marquez. I bet you, Manny, we see it stopped at 3. But you see what happened to him in the 4th fight? Perfect example. Stop at 3. Manny X Manny. I bet you wish he had stopped at 3. Johnny Tapia versus Manuel Medina. Excellent. Yeah. Because he suffered a terrible knockout. Wife in the audience crying type knockout. In a fight where Manuel Medina set a combo box record for most punches thrown in a 12-round fight at 1,466, 12-round featherweight fight. Many thought he had done enough to win a decision. That might be enough record for any fight, right? Yeah, many thought he did enough to win the decision. Okay, going 1,466 punches should be more than enough to earn a decision, right? Medina had outlanded fan favorite fighter Johnny Tapia 273 to 193. Wow, almost 80 punches, and threw over 700 more punches over the course of 12 rounds. You gotta look at the percentage though. How many more did he throw than Tapia? Still, it was not enough in the judges' eyes who saw it for Tapia. They gave it to him by a majority decision. Just because he landed 80 more punches don't mean you gotta look at the percentage. He threw 1,400 punches, so Tapia's percentage might have been better, But judges look at part of it. Chris Bird versus Fres Oquendo. Chris Bird versus Fres Oquendo. In a rather uneventful heavyweight fight between slick counterpunching Chris Bird and Fres Oquendo, both cautiously fought 12 tenth rounds before Bird was awarded the unanimous decision. Now, one judge had Bird ahead by 6 points, and that's got to be one of the worst scores ever. In a fight that Oquendo should have won, it probably doesn't matter because it wasn't that memorable anyways, right? Yeah, 115, 113, 116, 112, 117, 111, all for Bird. 115, 113 sounds about right. All right, here we go. Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Jose Luis Castillo, April 20th, 2002. There's Floyd and Jose Luis. If it weren't for the generous judges, Floyd Mayweather Jr. might have a 1 on the other side of 49 wins. Mexican warrior Jose Luis Castillo outlanded the defensive-minded Mayweather and put on the most impressive performance of his career over 12 rounds of lightweight action. He put Mayweather on the ropes, but took a fair amount of counterpunches from Money as well. A lot of people don't look at those counterpunches Money was landing. Points were deducted by both fighters during the course of the fight. In what was Mayweather's most exciting fight, it was also his closest. He won a unanimous decision by surprisingly large margins. Yeah, the judges definitely had the scores wrong. Castillo had 203 of 506 for 40%. Floyd had 157 of 448 for 35%. And the judges had a 116, 111, 115, 111, 115, 111 for Floyd. I thought it should have been 115, 113 for Floyd. Yeah. Fernando Vargas and Winky Wright. Okay, we're on approach to the runway now. It was a battle of attrition as Fernando Vargas and Ronald Winky Wright fought 12 fast-paced rounds for the IBF junior middleweight title. Wright was the superior technician when it came to defense and counterpunching, but Vargas was undefeated and a rising star in the division. He also applied the type of pressure that favors fighters in close fights. Pressure fighters. After 11 intense rounds of boxing, cardio was not an issue for Vargas, who came out in the last round to make a strong statement by throwing over many more punches than Wright. But was it enough? It was to the 3 ringside judges, who scored it unanimously for the Mexican champion. Vargas got that one. Okay. Michael Spinks versus Larry Holmes. I thought Holmes won both of these. Okay. What we working with. Oh, beautiful. 328. All right. First one was September 21st, 1985. This is one. Larry Holmes was undefeated at 48-0 when he took on Michael Spinks, who was also undefeated at 28-0. This was Holmes' 21st title defense. 20 consecutive successful defenses for Holmes. Holmes was one win away from tying all-time great Rocky Marciano at 49-0. In what would turn out to be Ring Magazine's 1985 Upset of the Year, Spinks took home a controversial unanimous decision over 15 rounds of tactical boxing. He also won the IBF heavyweight title, a title Holmes had defended twice previously. Okay, WBC was the one that he did 20 times. Many of the rounds were close, so there was no clear winner, but the two also had a rematch that was just as close and controversial. The decision continues to be debated over 25 years later. 145, 142, 143, 142, and 115, 142 all for Spinks. And I forgot what I was going to say now. Man. Oh my goodness. I forgot. Let's go on. The next one is Michael Spinks versus Larry Holmes 2. Larry Holmes was one of the all-time best heavyweights and arguably had the best jab in the history of the sport. Many have him ranked in the top 10 heavyweights of all time. Then the second fight with Michael Spinks, he had no intentions. He had no intentions of letting the 29-year-old steal another decision. It almost came. I know what I was going to say. That first fight in 1985, that great 15-round fight. To put it in perspective how great that 3-round fight between Hearns and Hagler was, that was the same year. And Hearns and Hagler 3-round fight won fight of the year over that great 15-round fight between Holmes and Spinks. So that tells you just how great that 3-round fight was. This is another one of the great fights we had that year for 15 rounds, but that 3-round fight beat it out for fight of the year. That puts it in perspective right there. That almost came to the definitive close in the 14th and 15th rounds after Holmes rocked Spinks several times with right hands, but he couldn't get him up out of there. He couldn't drop him, and Spinks managed to unload powerful combinations on Holmes in the final round as well. In the end, Spinks was awarded a split decision. This time, Holmes did get one judge, 144-141 Holmes, 144-141 Spinks, and 144-142 Holmes. Okay. We're wheels up now. Okay. Everybody buckle them seatbelts. We landed. Finally, Evander Holyfield, John Ruiz won. This was the one where he became a 4-time heavyweight champion, 2000. Okay. Behind the infamous draw between Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis, this is just as bad of a robbery, and maybe even worse. It was clear that Ruiz had outboxed the champion for the better of 9 or 10 rounds of their fight, but was not given a decision when the scorecards were finally read. Excuse me. It's one of those decisions that is so bad, it's hard to believe it, no matter how many times you hear it. It sparked a series of fights between the two. They ended up having 2 more. They had a trilogy. Sparked a series of fights between the 2 heavyweights with multiple results. Ruiz would win the second fight after knocking Holyfield down in the 11th round to earn a unanimous decision. Then the third was a draw. We talked about them, to remember. But this one was 114-113, 114-113, 116-112 for Holyfield. Okay, we're here at the gate to the terminal. I'm going to drop the link on in there now, and we're going to chop it up for about 30 minutes. Chop it up for about 30 minutes. That's my Texas accent there. Appreciate everybody that's rocked with me. Hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget, tomorrow is Texas. Boxing in the States continues tomorrow with the Lone Star State, Texas. Home of the Charlo twins, Earl of Truth Spence, Virgil Ortiz, okay? Those great fighters. And many former fighters we're going to cover too. Tomorrow. There's invited. Oh, there it is. Oh my goodness, I don't know what I did. I'm messing up already. Damn. What is going on here? Oh no, that's not right. What the hell? Something ain't right. Oh, here we go, right here. I don't know what this is different. They done changed it, man. Yeah, they changed the screen. Can't do that, man. I'm old. I can't deal with this stuff. Man, I'm setting my ways. You done changed this invite screen. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay. You can't fool me. I got it. Let me see here. Get this link in here right quick. How's everybody today, though? We got the big one Saturday, Jerron Ennis and the Mantis Stanionis. I'm looking for a good fight, man. Yeah. Both of those guys got good chins, good power. I'm looking for a fan-friendly affair. Yeah. I think it'll be worth it. Is it pay-per-view? Is that on Prime? No, Boots on the Zone, right? With Eddie, right? I think. I don't know. I'm gonna see it either way, but I don't know. Yeah, Eddie Hearn is the Zone. So if you subscribe to the Zone, you get it for free, right? I got the Zone. Yeah, I got the Zone. I want to see that. I want to see that one, man, because that's going to be. Bear with me for a moment here. Just making all my ducks are lined up straight. All my I's are dotted and my T's crossed. The I's crossed and the T's dotted. Something like that. Don't pay me no attention. I's dotted and the T's crossed, right? You say the I's crossed and the T's dotted? I don't know. Here's the link. How about we do that? Oh, shit. Did I put it in? No. Man, I don't know what I'm doing. Help! I don't know what that is, man. Okay, there we go. Try that on for size. All right, today is Wednesday, right? Hump day. It's the old hump day. It's 438, 436. That wasn't too bad. We did 50 fights. Yeah. That wasn't bad at all. What'd you say, Tom? Ngo Joe. What's that mean? Ngo Joe. There's Thomas Hill. What's up to you? What is that? Ngo Joe. What was that?
Ngojo.
Ngojo? What's that?
Yeah,
another language or something?
That's how you pronounce the name.
Oh, the one I put in the chat?
Yeah, if you ever see me spell stuff out, that's how you pronounce names.
I had no idea. I would have never got that. Yeah, Ngojo. I can see that now, though. Yeah.
Ngojo, yeah, Ngojo.
Gojo, yeah. I did get the Joe part right, remember?
For sure, but as you can see, the ing, it's just like you phonetically say ing, and then the OU is O, Ngojo, Ngojo.
Yeah. I can see that now. Yeah. What's up with you today? T-Hill?
Man, I had to wake up early today, man. I didn't go to sleep till late. I went to sleep at about like 3. Got up at like, I got up early and had to go handle some business at the church building.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Ready for this big one this weekend? Boots and standing on us. Yeah, I was watching those fights Ant was talking about the other. I see what he was talking
Ant going to the fight.
Oh, really? Okay. It's in Atlantic City, right?
Yeah, his wife got
Al Booker is too. Yeah.
Oh, shoot, they should link up because Ant's gonna be up there as well too.
Mm-hmm. He said the other day, remember, Al Booker said he was going.
Yeah, they should link up.
Yeah.
Your boy just told me last night, that his wife had bought tickets so they can go check out the fight. That's a
who's that? Ed?
Yeah, his wife bought some tickets.
Yeah, that's all right. I know you're gonna enjoy.
She said, "You know this guy named Boots got a fight. I got tickets for his fight." And he was like, "Yeah."
That was like Boots. Of course I know him. Damn. Yeah, that was all right. That's all right, man. Yeah.
Man, you know it's all right.
Mm-hmm.
Can't be mad at that. And it's a pretty dang good card on top of it. So yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
There's some quality fights. And it should be a good one, man. You know, with the anticipation of it being a championship fight, unification fight. I think we finally get a different version of Boots that we hadn't seen in the last couple of fights because, you know, he was looking for fights he couldn't get. I think that played a big part. Like I was telling you that one day, how, you know, if you're tired and, you know, you have to do some things, it sometimes affects you. It weighs on you and your ability to do what you need to do. And you have to have extreme discipline to fight through the tire to keep the form, you know, to keep the will to continue on and all that other stuff. The same thing when you're not disinterested or you let down because, you know, you was expecting to get another fight, but you got this fight. Right. I think that reared its ugly head as well as some of the flaws that, you know, you got to work through because, you know, this is a sport. This is a sport where you combat somebody else, and
right.
If you're not on your P's and Q's, they can definitely take advantage.
He should be motivated too, T-Hill, because he said he wanted undisputed and it's for another belt. So hey,
yeah,
you know.
So he will have 2.
Yeah, that's
he would have 2, and only needs to fight 2 more people. But I don't know if he's gonna get undisputed unless, for some reason, you know, they can make a fight between Barrios and Norman. Now, if they get a fight and they unify, then the winner can fight the winner, and then we can have a chance at unification. But if not that, then I don't think he has the time frame that it's going to take. Yeah, to do that. And if I were him, I wouldn't push staying at this division too much longer.
Nah. When he didn't get the Norman fight, that I think that pretty much did it for the undisputed. If he would have got that in that time frame last year, he would have had a shot at it. But when that didn't happen,
well, see, if the Norman fight, if they truly, because there was only a small window to make that fight.
Yeah,
they had initially contacted him and I think offered him X amount of money, and they said that wasn't enough. But that Friday of that initial offer, they bid it on the purse bid. So they sent the fight to purse bid. Yeah, so at that point, all the other offers, they all could not be made. And I believe both sides knew this. So to me, that was more like a strategy to try to build the possible impending fight.
Yeah.
More so than to actually make a fight. At least that's how I view it, because you know, I was under the information, or I've been told that they were privy, especially Norman. Norman was privy to the fact that they couldn't make the fight at once the purse bid was there, but yet he was still going on shows talking about, hey, I tried to make a fight. They was ducking and this and all that.
He sure
and that wasn't the case. You know what I'm saying? And that's the one thing that I don't like, because we live in a time and age where people, because of who they represent or who they like or who they root for, they will believe anything. That
You're 100% right, T.
And I'm not with that, man. I don't like that. I don't like when that's the narrative, and I don't like to push stuff like that, man, because it's not easy doing what these people do.
Ooh.
And a lot of them definitely do it without getting paid their true value.
Yeah, many of them. Yeah, many of them, man. Yeah, I was looking at that the other day, man. A lot of these fighters ain't making what people think, they make.
They're not. And even the people that's saying they're clearing a lot of money, they're not really clearing a lot of money.
And then look at all the people you got to pay. Your team and everything. Those people ain't doing that volunteering their services. They want to be paid.
Nah, they expecting their payment too. So, and they're gonna get their payment.
Yes.
Believe that. So, it's a whole lot of moving parts in there to the reason why these fights don't happen. And a lot of it, I say borders around the fact that people believe other folks are scared. They fighting. They get in that ring, man. They understand the risk going into it. So they've accepted that a long time ago. Mm-hmm. The only thing they truly ever fear is the fact that if I have a bad performance, and that's our fault too, but if I have a bad performance, then, people won't want to look for me. They won't want to come out and see me. They won't want to pay their hard-earned money to watch me entertain them. And that's the only thing that they truly are afraid of.
Like the point Crush made this morning, too. A lot of them is scared of losing that O, too. That's got a lot to do with it.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. And it's because of me and Ant were talking about this yesterday, about it's the way that the promoters, to a great deal, have been pushing things, man. It's like, because I lose, that means I'm no longer viable for them to make money off of. So they more so than anything create the culture to covet the O.
That's true. Them promoters put that in those guys' minds like that, man,
Yeah.
And they buy into that. Yep.
Yeah, they do. And it's easy to fill into because, you set the standard.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to dictate to fans what we get to see and what we get to believe out of a fighter. By the way you push them, promote them.
Yeah.
Place them in fights. If they don't look so good. I mean, case in point, bro. This is and I always go to this because I thought that this was low down. You got a fighter who, it took a long time for him to make the weight, but did make the weight. And then when he went into the ring, beat the fighter, got taken for the victory, and then you throw him underneath the bus. I'll never forget that, man. Eddie Hearn was wrong for doing that. Like, your fighter got robbed in that. Well, it was a close fight, but it wasn't that close. He definitely clearly won the fight. And yet you go over there and berate him because you feel like he didn't get himself in the proper shape. No, he did enough to win that fight.
Yeah.
There was no question that he lost the fight. It might have been a question of how close the fight was, but it wasn't that he lost the fight. And then you go over there and throw him under the bus, and that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. That's what you're saying.
You create the narrative that he doesn't really work and doesn't want to fight. Doesn't want to do what it takes to, my bad, define irony.
How about you define anyone?
I'm good. How you guys doing? Which fight are you referring to, T.L.?
Oh, that was Jaleel Hackett. Remember when Jaleel Hackett fought and, they took the decision from him when he clearly won the fight?
Yeah.
But he struggled to make the weight. And instead of vouching for his fighter, he went on there and took a chance to talk about how he didn't take the fight serious. He wasn't prepared and all this other stuff. And some people are with that, and I'm cool with that. But at the same time, like, it wasn't like he didn't do what he needed to do to win the fight.
Right.
You define only rocking Harry Graham there, ain't you define? Rocking Harry Graham.
He did the same thing to Subriel, if you remember. I don't know if it was exactly the same thing, but he dropped him right after the loss to Paro.
Similar. Yeah.
Yeah, because, even Subriel, that was a close fight. That was a close fight. You know what I'm saying? When it's all said and done, it was a close fight. You could have scored. Somebody could have scored it. I mean, hell, if you can score Kambosos a victory over Maxie Hughes, then anything is possible.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I don't know if that's. I think it's the fans' fault more than the promoter, because the promoter can sell you whatever they want to sell you. In the end, you're the one that's buying it. Like.
True too.
Yeah. I want to make sure that I don't leave the fans off the hook here, because I don't know. It's something so silly, bro, to do. I've seen some people start belittling David Morrell and Arthur Beterbiev, bro. Like that's how bad it is.
Wow, that's all they done.
Like they did it to Errol Spence, they did it to Subriel even for a while, even here in the island, bro. And
and all these guys just got one loss, man.
I just think that people don't really, fortunately, I don't think much people care to understand really this game. They just want to get entertained and that's it, and they'll just go with the flow. Basically.
That's true. Yeah.
And that's unfortunate, because I don't know, you start creating this image, completely false image of how things should be, and then I've had some heated debates right here in the island, bro. I've gone toe to toe with people about this, because I'm like, well, if that's the case, then don't be mad when they don't want to fight each other. Then
I agree. The fan got their part of the responsibility.
Oh, they do. No, absolutely. Like, say for instance, man. Let's say this, man, because it's happening a lot, especially now. Lately, it's been Shakur this, Shakur that, Shakur that, and it's all because Shakur ain't fighting certain fights. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The thing is, Shakur is just one half of the equation. Sure, he has to do things to ensure that the fight is going on, but the other fighter has to as well. And then they're only a third of the equation, because now you're talking about promotional entities and what they do to affect it. So, I'm not going to put it all on Shakur because the fight ain't being made. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of moving parts.
Right.
And the thing is, a bad performance should not make it to the point where, that person is not somebody that people should be seeing. There are plenty of
boxing news real quick. Salute B in boxing news real quick. Go ahead, T.
There's so many people who have had storied careers have a bad night off. It didn't stop them from being marketable. It didn't stop them from making the fight.
You can find me one fighter. I don't care if you retired undefeated. Even Floyd, Marciano, Ricardo Lopez, whoever you want to name. You can find me one fighter, bro, from Sugar Ray Robertson on down, that hasn't had at least one bad night. It's impossible. It's not possible.
Even the ones that retired undefeated had some bad nights.
I mean, I can point to, right off the top of my head, I can point to the Rocky Marciano, Rolando Starza 1, and Floyd and Castillo, which you went over, the first one, and Ricardo Lopez versus, I think his name is Rosendo Alvarez. That was a very controversial fight, bro.
Yeah. So and Rocky was behind on all three cards against Jersey Joe. He got that right hand in the 13th round, so
Exactly. Yeah, he was getting his ass whooped on that fight. I remember that one.
But he got that right hand, and then he won. So even the ones with the O's, everybody have a bad night. So,
and that's three people that retired undefeated. And one of my favorite fighters of all time, Joe Calzaghe, he had a tough night against Robin Reed, bro. And he retired undefeated also.
Well, did I
mean, I don't know. It's just like I say, too many people just want this for shits and giggles, and. Listen, it is entertainment, but you also need to understand this, and they don't use that bad logic. They don't use it on any other sport or in any other thing. Period.
No other sport.
That's what upsets me more than anything. Find me imagine doing that in basketball, where if you lose one series, then you're nothing. Well, then you're gonna have an empty Hall of Fame, I guess.
Yep. Or the NFL. Like you go into a season, once you lose one game, all of a sudden your team is trash. Only sport do that is boxing. You're right.
The other day, some dude was saying Miguel Cotto, let me give you an example, right? Right here in the island, I had a toe-to-toe with some dude that was saying that Miguel Cotto lost all his big fights. And I'm like, are you sure? Yeah, he lost all of this fight. Okay, he lost against Floyd. By the way, he gave Floyd a hell of a fight, but he lost against Floyd, Manny, and Canelo, right? So I'm guessing Shane Mosley and Sab Judah are not big fights, right?
Margarito was a big fight. That's 2. He beat him.
Right,
remember?
that's 3. Exactly. Sab Judah and Shane Mosley also.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I said, he that's when I got him pissed off. I said, okay, so that's 3 names Cotto lost to, right? So let's take a look at Roberto Duran. He lost against Leonard. He lost against Hagler. He got decapitated against Tommy Hearns, and he lost against Benitez. That's 4 names.
That's right.
So I'm using your same logic against you, bro. He didn't have any comeback, and then that's when it hit me. Like they don't care to. They just repeat shit, and they hope that you don't know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Talking points. A lot of people repeat stuff they hear. Whether it's right or wrong, they just go around and repeat it, and keep saying it, but it doesn't make any sense. And then you got to look at them resume. Look at Cotto's resume. Look at all the big fights he was in, man.
Absolutely.
Didn't he fight Canelo? I think. I'm not. I think he did.
He's probably the only one outside of Mosley that fought all 3 of them. Mayweather, Manny, and Canelo.
And Canelo, yeah.
I could be wrong about that, but I know
you got
that.
to take that into consideration too. Look at all the big fights he was in.
Absolutely.
Wow. But that person probably don't know that. That's something they heard somewhere.
And by the way, when exactly did it become a bad thing to lose to those 3 dudes?
A lot of people done did it.
Oh man.
They lost to them. Yeah. And you can't win all of them. The statement as simple as that, man. Don't apply to boxing.
You'd be hard pressed to find me a dude that gave Floyd a tougher fight than Cotto did, bro. For real.
Yeah, that was a very good fight when he fought Cotto. Yeah. I've seen that a couple times.
Yeah, and Floyd's face bloodied after the fight. When have you seen that?
Not too often. Cotto wasn't in too many bad fights. He was always competitive. And the Margarito, the first fight when he got busted up because of those hand wraps, remember?
Exactly. Yeah, don't get me started on that, bro.
Yeah. And then he beat him the second time. When Margarito had to fight legally, he beat him.
That was glorious.
He said that was the best one of his career.
Oh, yeah.
The Margarito fight, win. Because of what happened,
Margarito is one of the few, very few. Even if I don't like a boxer, I'm usually very respectful and I wish him the best. But Margarito is one of the few dudes that I don't really care for.
Yeah, I know.
At all.
Yeah, because it's already a dangerous sport, and then you loading up your hand wraps, making it even more dangerous,
I can't think of a worse thing to do. Not even punching in the back of the head.
Yeah. That's the worst thing, loading up your hand wraps, man, because the hand's already lethal.
Exactly.
Professional boxing, and you add an unfair advantage by doing that. And you can already kill a man just with your hands in the boxing glove, and you're gonna add something to your hand wraps. Yeah, that's
unbelievable.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the proof is in the pudding. I mean, what's the name of Nassim Richardson? I think. God bless him. He caught him. He caught him with that.
Yep, sure did. I forgot who it was. I was just reading about that the other day. The Margarito situation. Yeah. Who was it? It wasn't Floyd.
What's that?
Yeah, Floyd said that he didn't want to fight him because he knew that he cheated. He cheated.
Yeah.
He said he was glad he didn't fight him.
Margarito?
Yeah. The fight.
Margarito was Cotto, wasn't it? Wasn't it Cotto?
Yeah.
And then after that it was what's her name? Mosley, but Mosley whooped his tail though.
Yeah.
I think he got caught after the Mosley fight, didn't he?
Yeah. When they were doing the hand wrapping before the fight, they had to re-wrap his hands, I think, 3 or 4 times.
Decsions Richardson, somebody's trainer, made him re-wrap him.
Yeah, that was him. Yeah.
Yeah. Whose trainer was he when that happened? Was it Mosley? It was Mosley. Okay. Yeah, it was Mosley. Okay. Yeah. So that's when it happened. Yeah. he made him re-rap him because he noticed something. Yeah, that's crazy though, man. Doing that.
No, absolutely.
Wow, that's worse than performance enhancing drugs, man. Just putting something in your hand.
Well, that's why that I mean, let's be honest, bro. Like,
but it
is cheating, no matter how you slice it.
Yeah.
If you're taking things that are allowing you to get a slight edge on somebody else, in a sport where you're putting hands on somebody else, it should never be tolerated.
Mm-mm.
But now we're talking about you're actually using your hands to score your tally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you take the fact that you're using your hands and you're putting weapons on them.
Yeah.
You're in them. Yeah, in the gloves on top of your hands like that. That's to me, man. It's not even close, bro.
Yep.
It's not even close. Because say you get lucky, you may not be skilled, but you get lucky and pop them with something like what you call those things? Those brass knuckles. Some of them be so damn hard as being like slugged by brass knuckles, and you do damage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a weapon, bro. Like that.
It is.
No, it is.
That's a weapon. Your hands are
already.
already.
Plaster? They said it was equivalent to that.
Yeah, it gets hardened, and your hands are gonna get wet and sweaty. So you put that thing that's gonna get hardened as it gets wet. So that's why you saw his punching power get hurting Cotto more and more as the fight progressed.
As the fight went on,
and to a certain extent, and I'm not to take anything away from him, but I think it's a key in how you get to stack your gloves, your taping and your wrapping, man. It shouldn't look like you got another glove on top of your hand.
Right.
It shouldn't look like it's something a harder exterior on top of your hand.
What book is that? Ant said the book is great. I was reading the chat there.
It makes me think of the Luis Resto scandal. That kid Collins, I think was his name, bro. That he killed him with that bullshit trainer. What's his name? Panama Lewis or whatever.
Panama Lewis. Yeah, he was a slime ball, man.
Yeah, bro. Like, it makes me think of that, bro. Like literally, somebody got killed in the ring because of that.
Sure did. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man. You can't put all the onus on the trainer on that. You're right there, bro. You know what's happening. Don't give me that BS.
Don't do that. Yeah.
You're in on it, bro. Miss me with that.
Yeah, probably was his idea.
Absolutely. So I'm looking forward to Jaron Ennis, bro. Let's see what he got, bro. He gotta show me. I know he got it, but he gotta show me.
I'm looking for a good fight, man. A good competitive fight. Stanionis is a tough guy, man, and a good fighter too. And he's gonna compete. He's gonna be right there with him.
So talented, bro. Like he's super talented.
Probably be Booth's toughest fight to date, but he should be motivated because he said he won belts and he got a chance to get another.
Yeah.
We'll see. But it's a good card too. It should be good. That's the zone, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I gave him the benefit of the doubt on his last performance because I actually was telling people that Karen Chukatsian is a pretty good fighter, bro.
Yeah, I knew that. I could understand how he fought that first fight. I was like, that's not him. He normally mixes it up in his fights, man. The first fight against Boots, I was like, no, that's not him.
I think he did very well in both fights, but especially in the second fight.
Second one, that was his real.
He probably beats everybody else. In my opinion, he probably beats everybody else with the exception of Norman.
Mm-hmm. He might beat Norman.
I'm very high on Norman. I'm not sure. That, but I'll give him a shot.
Okay.
The fight that I want to see, the fight to me.
What do you think about Norman and Boots?
That's the Super Bowl fight at the welterweight division. That's the fight that I want to see.
How about Barrios? What you think about Barrios?
I don't know. He looked kind of suspect in his last fight, bro. Like,
Okay.
I think he's taken too much damage. Honestly.
Okay, because he'd have fought something. He got a fire resume, and he's been in there with some good fighters, man. He had taken
an issue now, I think. With he's got a family issue now. I think. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, I think or something like that.
I just looked at that name, man. I said it wrong. It's Ngujo. Ngujo.
What you got on there?
No, I got Ngojo. It's Ngujo.
Oh, you just
I forgot the U. Yeah, I forgot the U.
Okay.
Yeah. I put the O instead, man. It was Ngujo.
Yeah, you changed it. Yeah.
But no, yeah, absolutely, man. I can't wait, man. It's gonna be a great fight. It's gonna be a fight that he wanted. It's definitely a fight Stan Jonas wanted, and
yes.
They get a chance to unify. So it's a big deal because
that's right.
The belts have been held up by two particular fighters for the most part.
A long time. Yeah, right about that.
Now it's time to see how the action shake. And another thing, it sets the tone that you fight the fights, especially if you're champions, and there's more than one champion. Like the Highlanders series, there can only be one. Like you want to fight till you claim the belts, or you claim the lion's share of the belts. So this puts one on track to be head honcho up in the division.
Yeah,
only right that it's
140 come on up, like Devin and Teofimo, and come on to 147, make it interesting. They waiting for
very interesting.
They waiting for Boots to leave.
I think so.
Once Boots leave, a whole truckload of them going to come up. Watch, I guarantee.
I think it's the silent agreement. But I could be wrong. But I think that's what it is. But
Devin and Teo, their next fights are, I forgot the division. Is it 140 or 47?
I've heard it was 47. That's what I mean.
Well, for Devin, it's in between. So it's between 40 and 47. So I think he's got like a catchweight of 44 or something like that.
Okay.
Because he doesn't want to yet be labeled up at the next division, and he doesn't want to be taken far from the other division. So it could give you the illusion that I can make either one.
Hey, where's the Ryan and Rolly fight at? Is that 140?
I think so.
Okay.
Not sure though.
I thought Ryan couldn't hardly make 140. Ryan is a big guy, man.
Yeah, Ryan is too.
Got height with it too,
People give a lot of problems Jeb way, but it applies to him as well too. Like, he's been loosely around weight classes for a minute now.
Yeah, because he didn't make it the last time. Remember against that.
The thing with Ryan is that he doesn't have a high bone density. Like I make the comparison often to like a Espinosa.
Yeah,
like they're very tall, but they have that.
And that 143 was on purpose. He was over on purpose. Remember?
Yeah. Against Devin. Yeah.
That was his last fight, right?
But see, then there's that. Like that shouldn't been allowed either. At the same time, we can't make a joke about it and bet on it.
Right, that's true.
Right, I think Devin fell for it a little bit with that bet and bullshit because, bro, Ryan got money, bro. Like he's more interested in getting the W than in paying you whatever he had to pay him. Like, I think he fell for it. That doesn't make Ryan right, obviously.
No, it don't make him right at all. It's just he's aware. He knows that it's hard for both of us to make the weight. Yet, if you gonna say I wager it, I'm gonna wager it so that you can relax on the fact that I'm not gonna make weight, so you can try to make weight, and then it might be tough on you. But that being the case, I'm not gonna make weight, so you can try to make.
My bad. I think he'll stop Rolly though, Ryan.
I think so too. I don't see Rolly getting away from that left hook because Rolly, as much as I love him on the microphone and I wish him the best, but he's got such
some inadequacies.
Style, man.
Yeah,
like,
he
fights. I don't know. It's not too hard to figure him out, honestly.
Not that defensive responsible, neither.
Yeah, and Ryan's got that
the
hand
lunging,
speed.
man. The lunging and
Exactly.
being susceptible to a left hand. And like you said, Ryan has fast hands and has a pretty dang amazing left hand. That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, you know, I
It only
really
take
threw
one
hard
punch.
a lot. He out of position a lot too, you know.
Another thing why I couldn't really understand folk, like, it's hard to one punch people and get them up out of there. Ryan has had many victories where he one punch people and got them up out of there.
That's
Oh
true.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's not easy to do.
You're right.
No.
That's talent. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Either you're not seeing it or you can't take it. But one way or another, the punch is effective. And you gotta give people their credit. And I think the biggest mistake for that whole fiasco in both their last fights was the fact that one person thought he truly was a joke. And I think it was cemented when he saw him quit in the ring, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, he don't have what it takes.
You're referring to the Tank fight, okay? I see.
Yeah, because it was that last fight for him. It was the fight, and then it was that fight. So it was like, oh, he's a joke. You know, he ain't really all that good. And if he could do that to him, then he ain't that good at all. And like I say, man, no matter what people say about Ryan got a decorated amateur career, and on top of that, he's been highly effective as a pro.
Oh yeah. And I'll say this in favor of Ryan, though. As much as he shoots himself in the foot when he opens his mouth, he does have a pretty interesting resume. And what I mean by that is, like, he's one of the few guys, and I'm not just referring to Shakur here, right? He's one of the few guys that has called out Tank and actually gotten in the ring with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So and Devin also. Now, yeah, he cheated, obviously, and I cannot condone that ever. But at the same time, he was catching Devin with what he usually catches guys with.
He beats Devin in a way.
It's not like he was catching Devin with some weird combinations. And again, I'm not giving him a pass. Don't get me wrong, please. But at the same time, if you can't fix that bro, it's gonna be.
Unless his best punch, the left hook. Did they even work on it? In camp?
They worked on it, and it beat the punch that they was working and had control of the fight with, and it allowed for that right hand, because I thought the right hand was open 24/7. Man, he could have hit him with the right hand at will. But that left hook is something that many people speak about. Some people loathe. It's effective, so you're gonna want to go to your most effective thing. But I mean, when he was fighting, and I will say this, when he was fighting, man, it looked like he was clearly the superior fighter in that match.
Yeah.
And it didn't look like it was because he was hopped up on some stuff.
No.
It just looked like what his stuff was better than what stuff wasn't. Yeah. I agree, Cass. And I'm not going to say that he didn't cheat and that tainted anything. No, because there said that there was a ruling against him, which he had to suffer some days out the ring.
Right.
So that clearly stipulates something wasn't right.
Yeah.
But when they do the language is there for a reason. Like when we talk about people who make decisions, they use language carefully, and none of it said steroids, none of it said performing enhancing. It just said supplementation.
Right.
So you refuse to report what you were taking.
Yep.
Didn't say you were taking things that you should not have been taking.
Mm-hmm.
So like that it's key to remember that, because these people are strict and stern with the way that their verbiage and their diction, because it means things.
Absolutely.
And that's why I say, like, if you want to be, for me, if I'm a supporter of boxing, I'm going to strike it because it was stricken by the court and they took the fight away.
Yeah, they did.
But they didn't say they took the fight away because he clearly cheated. They said he just didn't let them know.
Okay.
So that's a big contrast right there. Not that you cheated, you just didn't inform us of what's going on. Because you didn't inform us, we're gonna strike that.
Right there. Keep doing that.
That's negligence at best. I mean,
yeah, that's what it is.
To say the least.
It's negligence, and on top of that, it's not something that they condone. So therefore, he got punished for it, right?
Right.
So I accept that. But now, from the standpoint of being a fighter and what happened in the ring, if you don't acknowledge that there were some things that allowed for this to be, because while he was cheating you, quote unquote, and he was out of pocket, you were winning the rounds. What changed? The only thing that changed was that right hook. I mean, that left hook beat that jab. That right hook beat that left jab. I mean, that left hook beat that left jab.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what really changed the fight. And it only changed the fight in the rounds that he got knocked down on. Other than that, you did well. So you got to really look at it. You got to really examine it, man. Like, yeah, he definitely took some stuff he shouldn't have been, and they pulled the fight from the history, but why was it so effective? And I don't believe people are giving credence to the why. Was it truly effective just because he was hopped up on some nanograms of nandrolone and ostarine? Or was it because, what he was doing, I wasn't prepared for, or I couldn't adjust to, or I couldn't get out of the way of?
Yeah, couldn't get out of the way of it.
Exactly. To me, that's the biggest thing.
Adjust to it, yeah. Yeah, that's what I would say.
So like that will show itself in this next fight, because I'm pretty sure the people who got the fight, they're seeing what happened in that fight and thinking, man, it looked like he was struggling against us. Let me see if I can game plan with that. We'll see how it pans out, man. I'm rooting for him. I'm hoping for the best, man, because like I said, ultimately, I want to see him do well, and ultimately, I want to see the fights that can be made.
Let me ask you this. So Ryan and Rolly's supposed to fight, right?
Yeah.
Then he's supposed to fight Devin again?
That's the plan, I think.
That's the plan. Now, supposedly.
What if Rolly wins? What happens then? Which I don't think he will, but what if he did? Will he fight Devin?
I think it clears people of having that fight being made. I think there's much trepidation with making that fight.
Okay.
And I don't even believe it's solely on one side. I think both sides have trepidation with the fight. Yeah. I don't think really Ryan wants to make the fight, but he'll make the fight. I'm not sure if Devin truly wants to fight, but it looks good to make the fight.
Yeah.
So if one of them lose, then it kind of alleviates that pressure to have the fight made.
I think that fight would do well if they have a rematch, Ryan and Devin.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think out of the three, out of Ryan, Devin, and Tio, Devin is the one that all respect to Rolly and Barbosa, but I think Devin's the one that has the toughest opponent, because Ramirez, if he can go back to being that Josh Taylor fight, Ramirez, bro, watch out.
No, absolutely, I agree. And then on top of that, Ramirez also has a big punch, and he can throw a tremendous hook. So it always is a problem, and you don't know how he rebounded from that look. He doesn't sound like, he never really stuttered when he talked. Now, when you hear him talk, he stutters a little bit.
Yeah.
So you don't know where his confidence in his head is in himself. And before, he was supremely confident, and you could hear it in his talk. Now, it doesn't seem as much. Not bad, but as much. It doesn't seem like it was. And then, like Tio, I mean, for all intents and purposes, who is he fighting?
Arnold Barbosa.
Right, Barbosa.
So that's a tough fight, because that's a fight out of passion. Like, my man Barbosa don't like him. He really don't too particularly respect him. He done put his hands on him.
Oh yeah.
So it's bad blood. That can be a tough fight. But, Tio got goods, especially if somebody is so enraged that they want to come at him. So it becomes, what Barbosa goes in that ring? Is it one who's going to abandon everything and just try to beat his tail because he's tired of him? He's been wanting to fight him and he slapped him? Or is he going to go out there and he's going to box?
To me, that's the most unpredictable fight out of the three, because both of them are so inconsistent.
Exactly.
Who is that?
Tio and Barbosa.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. I can't pick that one.
I have no idea which one of them are going to show up.
That's right.
I see you, BN. And shout out to the boxing pharmacist, BN Boxing News, the only place where you can go get that healthy prescription of that good boxing talk, man. Shout out my guy, BN Boxing News.
But you know what, Define on it? I'll say this now. Tio in top form will beat Barbosa in top form.
I believe so too.
The best Tio shows up will beat the best Barbosa.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
I think
it just
so.
depends which one gonna show up though, you know.
Yeah, man. Like is the Tio against Taylor gonna show up, or is the Tio against Barbosa gonna show up?
Exactly. That's the question. Yeah.
But I mean, I fully expect Devin to handle him and handle him well. I know he's been in there training, so I'm pretty sure. Huh?
Who's Devin fight?
Ramirez?
Oh, he's fighting Ramirez?
Yeah. He's fighting a tough opponent. Yeah. But he's fighting one if he's on his P's and Q's.
Yeah, I would pick Devin in that one.
He can definitely keep him at bay. He just got to watch out. That's it.
At 140, right?
No,
I don't think it's
147. Oh, catch weight. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it ain't. It's 44.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm telling you, man, and I believe this wholeheartedly. I believe that in his quest to be undisputed, he stayed 3 fights too many at 35, and that took a good portion of his 40 days. I don't think that 40 is even viable for him, given how much he's grown and how much he's gotten like fuller in his musculature and things like that. So I would not advise him to go. It's only when you start talking and when you're talking saying, yo, I could really do this, then if you're talking it, show it. But me knowing truthfully knowing that, you know, that first Kambosos fight looked bad, I didn't want to see him at 35 against anybody. Kambosos, yeah, you could whoop Kambosos any day, twice on Sundays.
Yeah.
The Loma fight was impressive for the fact that, you know, I still think Loma won the fight, but for Dev to be highly depleted and perform that well against Loma, and to show a wrinkle in his game, like he did very good body work. Like, I'm not mad at it, dog, because it's not easy to beat somebody as skilled as Loma and you're not at your best.
Yeah, Loma's still tough.
I think Tio was the one that exposed the body work on Loma, but Devin definitely did it more than Tio.
You know what? It could be the best of both worlds on that one. It could have been Tio did better body work. It's just that we never seen Devin do it like that.
Exactly. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I just know that in the Tio fight, I thought of the three, Tio did the worst against him. For me, I thought he did phenomenal in the beginning, but when Loma actually started fighting, when Loma actually started, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I just said Loma gave half the fight away.
Yeah, and I think that half of the fight got him the victory. Because if it was a fight like it was from round 7 on, man, 12th round, I give Tio mad credit because Tio fought his tail off in that 12th round. He had to, though. He had to, because all the other rounds,
that made
as bad as he was winning the fight, it looked worse when Loma was doing what he was. To me, I don't know about you guys, but to me, it looked like Loma was
around 11. Loma dogged him in round 11.
It just looked like, you know, it was a dark room and then somebody hit the lights on. That's what it looked like. Like, oh shoot, what am I looking at now? But he definitely, to me, won the fight. It just was Loma made it look so bad in the last half of the fight that, you know, he only got 1 round, but he needed that 1 round. Whereas Devin, you know, Devin didn't win all of the rounds in the first half like Tio did, but he did well in all of them. And then you know, he did better in the second half to me than T.O. did. To me.
Yeah, I would go real.
That's why T.O. never even talked about giving him a rematch, because he you know, he gotta know that
He knew.
you're not gonna catch this guy on such an awful night anymore, bro.
He's not gonna give away the first half of the fight no more against, you know.
And I beat you. Like, yo, I beat you. And many people said I wasn't going to beat you. They said I didn't even belong in the ring with you. But I beat you. So he's egotistical too. You know, that's the one thing about T.O. T.O. got a big ego.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
And yo, I'll beat you, dog. I don't need to prove anything else. You know, that's why he went on his tour after that.
Yeah.
And he turned pop diva after that.
He didn't want to lose that talking point. I beat Lomachenko.
Yeah, because he was truly the one.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, so Camboso beat you, and Camboso ain't got nothing more to prove either.
That's right.
And that's why there was no rematch, though.
Yep.
There was no rematch. Now, see, me, I still put an asterisk on that, because I'm not saying that T.O., all that stuff he was talking about, how he was in the hospital and almost fighting for his life.
All that.
He was fighting for his life, but not from a hospital.
Yeah.
He was fighting for his life because of what's going on in his family. And that had him out there looking, he was looking like he could walk through like bullets. He was bulletproof, fireproof.
Yeah.
And last I checked, man, fire touched the skin, it burns.
He came out there in the first round swinging for the fences and ended up getting knocked down.
Fighting like this dude didn't even belong to be in a ring with him. Like he had no respect for him.
They got dropped.
And not only that, bro, if that's the case, bro, postpone the fight, bro. Do something. But if you got in the ring, I don't want to hear it, bro. Honestly.
That's
Well,
right.
you know the thing about that. No, wait. Don't let me make the point that I am condoning it. No, I'm not. Mm-hmm. Same way. I'm privy to information regarding Tank, and why he looked the way he looked in the ring. But that being the case, you went into the ring.
That's right.
You know that other person is going into the ring to do what? To win the fight.
Exactly.
They're not going in there to, you know what? I know it's bad on you right now. You might be going through some things here, man. Let me go on out here and get a payday and you can have the victory. They're not going in there like that. So you go up them 3 steps, you got to be ready for what's in that ring.
No excuses.
No doubt about that. But I do know, like I say, like I said it with regard to like being out of shape. Fighters that are usually out of shape, they don't perform well. They just don't have it in them to perform well, because physically they're not there, and that's going to weigh in on their mental, because most of this stuff is mental.
Oh yeah.
Most of it is mental. A lot of it is mental, man. And it divides the difference between what you see in that ring or not. Like, if I'm tired, can I push through? Like I see it in a little, like you see it, like if you put dogs like puppies, say puppies, they have not been trained to eat together in peace. You put them in that bowl up in there, and one of them touch. It just takes one touch, and then all that. And one of them, and I seen it too, because I seen it. We had these pit bull puppies. It was this big dog. This dog was bullying all of them, but it was this one little small one. Yeah. That Mickey Freaky wanted to eat. He wanted to eat, and he was not gonna stop.
Right.
I seen him work the big one over because, I'm not giving up. Yeah. You gonna have to give up.
Are we both gonna eat?
Yeah. And I'm not gonna stop until you let go. You and that little bitty dog, boy, like he just had that dog in him. Like no matter what, I'm gonna push through this. I'm gonna push through this.
It's not the size of the dog. It's the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog, right?
Exactly.
So like when you're going through, you gotta have that mindset. No matter what's going on, your mind gotta be to the point where like it's conditioned that I might be tired. That dude might be hitting hard. Damn, he might even be quick. Oh, but I'm gonna find a way. I'm gonna find a way. And sometimes when your mind not right, it don't matter how supremely gifted you are, how much shape you in, how fast you are, how hard you hit. If it ain't clicking like it need to click, there's a chance that you give that other person that when they got their stuff together, hey, They get a little bit of a reprieve.
Especially like Roach. Roach didn't have nothing to lose. Everybody expected him to lose, right?
But Roach is also a good fighter too, man. A lot of people just hate on that fight because it's Tank. Like that's what I'm saying. The talking points.
Yeah.
The talking points are such, especially for like 6 different fan bases. And I've been saying it a lot anyway because it's now been dubbed the favorite fighter. Your favorite fighter. Well, your favorite fighter applies to 6 fan bases. Canelo, Errol Spence, Terrence Bud Crawford, Tank Davis, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson. For any one of those fighters, people will say some BS or exclude some BS over another one of those fighters. And that's crazy to me.
Canelo's crazy to me by far, but Canelo's number one on that department by far. In my experience.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But you want to know why he's number one? He's the biggest fighter of all of them.
Yep.
He has the biggest following of all of them. And people watch Canelo because they either love that Mickey Fricky or they can't stand him and want to see him lose. So, of course, you're going to have people go obnoxious for it. And then you're going to have some people incessantly hate on him for it. And then next is Tank. Followed by Bud, then Spence, then Haney, then Shakur. It used to be Spence, then Tank, but Tank done surpassed him. So he's a little bit more watched than them other ones. But that's why it seems that way. But man, I swear to God, I've never, ever heard as many people denigrate people who root for another fighter than I have in these fan bases. Man, I grew up in a time where, hell, it was Hagler, Hearns, Duran, who else? Leonard and Sanchez.
Weight classes too. Aguayo was a big name.
Aguayo.
Oh yeah.
Pryor. You know, it was a lot of great fighters. There was some that don't even get talked in that should be in that conversation.
There was so many of them, you know.
And
I always come back with Benitez.
Benitez, exactly. Benitez. And Benitez fought a majority of them.
Oh yeah. Only one he didn't fight was Hagler, and he beat Duran, and he gave Leonard a hell of a fight.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
And beating Duran is not easy, bro.
Hell no.
No.
Beating Duran is not easy, man. Duran, like if there was a definition of the word fighter, Duran pitcher would be right by it.
Oh yeah.
He's clearly a fighter, bro. And he didn't cheat. He's just clearly a fighter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So fellas, I gotta go. I'm sorry. I wish I.
I know, but I just wanted to make this point before you go, man.
Yeah.
There was fights being made in those times, and nobody hated on them. Yeah, they rooted for a particular one, but they cheered the fight all together,
right?
They they respected. And then you had Forte, Trinidad, Mosley, De La Hoya, Fernando Vargas.
Rosario,
all those.
Evan Rosario, all them guys, man.
Yep. Rosario was a little bit before. Rosario was more around the Chavez time, I think.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Rosario?
A little bit.
Yeah. Him and Chavez fought in the 90s?
Yeah.
Well, see, Chavez was special in the fact that he didn't have no peer, bro. He really didn't have a peer. The only peer he truly had, to me, was Pernell Whitaker. And there was a clear distinction, even though not in the ring, but in how their draws were between Whitaker and
because Oscar came in later on.
Yeah.
And then Oscar just took everything and blew it up. But Oscar had people that fought in the same era with him that were just as good.
Right. You need those dancing partners for sure.
You do. And you need to make the fights with them. And that's why I go back to what I say. Yeah, people talk down on Shakur. I can't do it. He's not the only one.
Yeah.
He's not the only one. And I can't talk down on the other ones because they're not the only one. Define Irony said this. He said, man, when you look at Ryan Garcia, he has a very good resume. He has one of the better resumes out of all those guys, but they won't ever give him that down. They already clearly take resume away from Tank. Tank ain't fighting nothing but bombs. His bombs that he's fighting on his resume full of champions, but they was bombs.
I've disputed that a million. I'm actually tired of debating people that keep saying that Tank, and they also do the same BS with one of my favorite fighters, which is Bud Crawford. Bro, I debated that till the tiring. Trust me. Like that's so off. That doesn't make any sense, bro. You go through Bud's resume and Tank's resume, and you can pick at least 6 either former world champions or just prime fighters, bro, that they beat. But,
exactly. But the case can be made. There are no Winky Wrights. There are no Tito Trinidads. There are no Ike Cortez. There are no Fernando Vargases in his era. Mm-hmm. He only could fight who was there. So that's why I really don't be saying that. Only time I say something like that is when they try to demean. Well, if you're going to talk bad about Spence, then how can you big up Bud Crawford? And they only going to big up him because of how it looked in the ring. It looked this way, so therefore it had to be he was fighting better people. And no, that's not what it was.
No.
That's not what it was. So don't demean this dude because you rock with this dude. That's why I say favorite fighter syndrome. It applies to Spence. It applies to Crawford. It applies to Tank. It applies to Devin. It applies to Shakur. And it applies to Canelo.
It's a circular argument. Like I've caught people red-handed with their own logic. Like for example, the Spence and Crawford, right? They say, well, I rock with Spence. I'm the biggest Spence fan. Spence is a Hall of Famer, which I agree. And then they'll turn around and take that win away from Bud Crawford by putting it all on the accident and stuff. And I'm like, listen,
I hate when they
don't you realize that you're putting your own dude down when you say that?
Yeah.
Like, don't you realize that? Like, for example, I've had this debate tirelessly with people about Joe Calzaghe. I keep saying he beat Roy and B-Hub, and they're like, oh, this and that. I'm like, guys, I'm the one putting those guys up. You're putting them down by diminishing that win, bro. On the contrary,
I hate that, man.
I mean, absolutely.
Spence was beating up everybody and dominating everybody. All of a sudden, he get the Bud. He was out of shape and weight drained all of a sudden. I hate when people do that, man. Get a man.
And they're saying that they're fans of them, which is the funniest shit.
Yeah.
I don't think that he was out of shape or anything like that. I do believe he was at the division far too long than he should have been.
Yeah.
But the case is that something wasn't right with him to the point where it's never been like that in the ring. But I will say this. That does not take away what Bud did in that ring. Bud was phenomenal in that ring. And it's not his fault that his fighter, his opponent, wasn't at his best. This is your biggest fight. It's the biggest moment in your career. You better be at your best.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the pre-fight vividly, bro. Nobody was saying that before the fight. Everybody was like, Spence gonna knock him out. Spence gonna do this. It's a 50-50
absolutely.
This and that. But then after the fight, they look like a 360-degree Rooney. You know?
I absolutely agree with you. My only point of contention with that is that when he walked out,
I hear you.
Actually, because he was never in the ring with Bud Crawford before. That's why he looked that bad.
I didn't hear what T. Hill said.
He dropped off. He went out.
I've only seen 2 fights where somebody got beat that bad. One of them was your boy Mayweather when Mayweather beat the dog snot out of Gotti.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
And then the other fight, who was that? It was another fight where somebody got beat mercilessly in the ring. And that's how it looks for him.
Julio Cesar Chavez versus Edwin El Chapo Rosario is one to remember also.
Yeah, that was a yeah.
Margarito. Margarito.
Yeah, they had a bad lead up.
Versus Margarito.
That was.
You said Angel Manfredi? Was that? Manfredi versus
Joe Calzaghe versus Jeff Lacey. There's the one for you.
Oh yeah. That was a bad one too.
Yeah.
Where it just didn't look right.
Yeah.
That being said, bro, like I'm not taking nothing away from Crawford. Crawford is a good fighter. I just said that, unfortunately, I don't believe Crawford took on the very best version of Spence. He beat his ass soundly, but it is what it is. It's not his fault.
Yeah.
Definitely not his fault.
Honestly,
And if he was his very best version, I don't know if he would beat him. I don't know.
I do because of the fact that if it that comprehensive of a beating, you can't tell me that you can just fix that with a little bit of like if they fight a year before or something. Like it was too one-sided. Too one-sided, in my opinion.
Levels to this, man. Well, that's what I said. I don't know if even if Spence was at his best, he would beat him. But
yeah,
I just know that didn't look like the very best version of Spence. And ever since that fight, we have not seen Spence.
Nope.
And I don't think it's because he don't want to be in the ring. I think it's because the people won't let him get in the ring.
When was that?
That's what I really believe.
Right? Wasn't that 23? Right?
Yeah, I think so.
Before last. We're going on 2 years now.
Yeah, man.
That's a weird
and we're talking about a moneymaker. This is somebody that makes money. They won't let them make money. Come on, bro. Like, something's not right.
Even Keith Thurman came back, bro.
Right? Yeah, even Keith.
I don't think he ever fights again, man. I really don't. Because there's been hints of 4 different fights, and none of them have happened.
None of them.
And we fast approaching 2 years.
Yes.
I gotta go, fellas. It's a pleasure.
Hey, but great show. Kaz, man, hit me up.
Okay, yeah, Just Do. We went because I don't think Just Do is on.
I don't know if Just Do coming on today.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Maurice.
Yeah.
If you guys are gonna keep talking, then I'll connect with my mobile phone. I
appreciate you. No, we're gonna get off. This Cash just came in. I'm gonna hit you up, T Hill. But I appreciate you.
God bless, man.
T Hill.
See you next time.
You too. Okay. We're gonna get ready to get out, T Hill. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. You hear me? Okay. Hold on, let me roll this window up, bro.
I hear you now.
I got all kind of stuff going on. Let me get some air up in this bad boy.
Okay.
You said what now?
I hear you now. Yes, we're gonna get ready to get out. You're just doing.
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't know if Just coming on today.
Yeah, I don't think so. We're gonna get ready to roll though. It
was been a good cook though. A really good cook. Appreciate my man Define Irony.
Always.
Appreciate all the people that was in the chat today. Hey, appreciate you, baby boy. You giving us that boxing history talk. And everybody have a wonderful day, man. Until I see you again, I'll hear from you again.
Okay, T. I'm gonna hit you up later on. All right.
All right.
Okay. That's it then. You out, T. Hill? Okay, that was Thomas Hill. That's it. We're gonna get ready to get out. We'll be back tomorrow with Boxing in the States. It's Texas, the Lone Star State. Okay. Appreciate everybody that came through today. It's happy hump day, everybody. Just Do is not on today. I would have stayed longer, but Miss Cass came in and gave me that look, so we got something to do. But everybody have a great day. I'll be back tomorrow though, because if it's Monday through Friday at 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian bringing you all that boxing history. Appreciate y'all, man. See y'all around the street.